So, here we are again, on our way to Oak Island. How y'all feeling?
Well, it's exciting because I'm basically satisfied that something happened on Oak Island that's outside of recorded history.
Yep.
The long wait is officially over. The Oak Island treasure has been found. The first dig of Season 13 just uncovered the vault in the garden shaft, and it confirms the team's biggest hopes.
I'm hoping for something very substantial in the garden shaft. This is where the treasure hunt actually begins.
This isn't just about gold coins. It's about a collection of relics so profound they seem to come from different centuries and different continents. Roman currency, ancient Hebrew scrolls, and a Templar sword. The curse is broken, but the true story is just beginning. Inside the granite chamber. The first day of digging for Season 13 started with a different energy. The team, led by Rick and Marty Lagina, decided to bypass the original money pit entirely. All their scientific data, especially the water analysis from Dr. Ian Spooner, pointed to the garden shaft. Spooner's tests had shown anomalous and impossibly high concentrations of gold and silver in the water, a signature that suggested a large deposit of precious metals was literally dissolving deep underground. They weren't just digging on a hunch, they were following a precise, data-driven map.
The artifacts we found there are all concentrated on the west side between the rectangular feature and the round feature. So I'd be really interested in having you go carefully over the east side.
The massive drill rig positioned over the garden shaft began to bore down. The team watched the monitors in the war room, tracking the drill's progress. They punched through the usual layers of clay and glacial till, but then at just under 160 feet, the drill operator's voice crackled over the radio. The drill had hit something. It wasn't the soft, splintery feel of wood which had been found so many times before. This was something else. The drill strained against a thick layer of a strange concrete-like substance. When they brought up a core sample, the team was stunned. It was a man-made material, a binder mixed with animal bone and small bits of an unknown metal. It was a barrier, a capstone designed to resist drills and time itself. The moment every searcher for 2 centuries had dreamed of. The team carefully deployed a remote camera down the borehole. What it revealed left the entire room speechless. Below the artificial barrier was a void, a man-made space. The camera panned, its light cutting through the darkness. It was a chamber roughly 15 feet by 15 feet, constructed of massive hand-cut granite blocks. It was a vault. The team immediately dubbed it the Sanctuary. Inside was the treasure. Several chests were visible. One, bound in thick iron, had partially broken open, spilling out gold coins, but this wasn't just Spanish or French gold.
I think this is probably, I'm guessing it's either Roman, it could even be Byzantine, but I'm thinking it's Roman.
Roman?
No way.
As the camera zoomed in, the team could make out the unmistakable profiles of Roman emperors, coins that were over 1,000 years old before Columbus ever set sail. How was this possible? But that was just the start. Against one wall, another chest held a collection of scrolls, perfectly preserved in sealed lead cylinders. This was a wow moment that eclipsed the gold. Early analysis of one scroll, painstakingly opened in a lab, revealed a complex star chart. But here's the catch: it wasn't a chart of the sky visible from Europe. It depicted constellations from a southern hemisphere perspective, drawn with incredible precision. And the annotations? Linguists were baffled, identifying the script as a mix of ancient Hebrew and Phoenician. The centerpiece, however, the item that made everyone's jaw drop, was resting on a stone pedestal in the center of the room. It was a ceremonial sword. Its hilt was wrapped in gold wire and embedded with large, uncut gems. But the blade was forged from a dark, non-reflective metal. Lab tests would later confirm it was meteoric iron, the same sky metal prized by ancient civilizations like the Egyptians. Carved into the hilt was the unmistakable 2-barred cross of the Knights Templar. Flanking the pedestal as if standing guard for eternity were 2 human skeletons. This wasn't a treasure hoard, this was a tomb, a sanctuary, a message left for the future. This find makes the 6 lives tragically lost over the 2-century search feel like part of an epic saga that has finally reached its climax. The long-standing legend claiming a seventh person must perish before the island gives up its secrets now feels eerily prophetic.
There's the famous Oak Island legend. 6 people have died, then a 7th has to die. In search of the treasure. In search of the treasure, and that's when all will be revealed.
Though thankfully, the final discovery was made without further tragedy. They found the what, but the how they finally did it is a story of its own. How technology defeated the island. For centuries, the hunt for the Oak Island treasure was all about brute force and blind hope. It was a story of bigger shovels, wider shafts, and more powerful pumps. But the Lagina brothers changed the game entirely. It's a whole different ballgame now. They understood that you couldn't beat a 200-year-old mystery with just ambition. You had to fight engineering with better engineering and mystery with hard science. Their approach transformed the island from a simple dig site into a massive outdoor laboratory. Think about the old ways. In the 1960s, a treasure hunter named Robert Dunfield took a brute force approach. He brought in heavy machinery and excavated a crater over 100 feet deep and 130 feet wide. He basically reshaped a huge part of the island. And what did he find? Nothing. Just more evidence of tunnels and backfilled shafts. A maze designed by a genius. The Laginas, on the other hand, started by mapping the entire island with technology that wasn't available to those old-timers. They used ground-penetrating radar, or GPR, and advanced seismic scanning. This allowed them to create a three-dimensional image of what was happening deep underground. These scans were the first to reveal the shocking truth. The island was a honeycomb of tunnels and large man-made chambers, or voids.
There's stacked timbers. I think we ran into the tunnel that's leading.
That's what it looks like to
It
me.
might just be by searchers, but
Yeah.
we're in the right spot.
One massive anomaly in the area of the garden shaft looked eerily like a large sealed vault. It wasn't a guess, it was a target identified by data. Then came the true game changer, the water analysis led by Dr. Ian Spooner. This was the moment everything shifted. By taking water samples from different boreholes all across the island and testing their chemical composition, his team found something incredible. The water in the money pit and garden shaft areas had concentrations of gold and silver hundreds of times higher than normal background levels. Spooner famously went on camera and stated the results were anomalous and pointed directly to a large source of precious metals dissolving underground. In other words, the treasure was literally leaking its signature into the environment. This science allowed them to zero in on the exact location with pinpoint accuracy. Core drilling was the other key piece of the puzzle. Instead of massive, destructive excavation, the team used powerful, narrow drills to pull up core samples from over 150 feet down. This is how they found those early clues that kept them going for so many seasons. They pulled up bits of old wood, coconut fiber, which is not native to Nova Scotia and was used as packing material, scraps of parchment, and even human bone fragments. Each core sample was like a page from a history book. Carbon dating of these materials consistently returned dates from the 1600s and 1700s, long before the money pit was officially discovered in 1795. This was the hard proof that a major secret project had happened on the island centuries ago. But here's the deal. Why target the garden shaft first? And what did that mean for the original money pit? The team's theory, now proven correct, was that the original money pit was a decoy. A brilliant, complex trap designed to distract and drain the resources of anyone who came looking. The real prize, the sanctuary, was offset in a separate, more heavily fortified chamber. It took the combination of GPR, water testing, and strategic drilling to finally outsmart the island's original architects. At the end of the day, the treasure wasn't found by luck. It was found because science and technology finally gave the team a map to bypass the traps. Science showed them where to dig, but what they found rewrites history itself. The curse and the quest. To understand why this discovery is such a monumental deal, you have to appreciate the 2 centuries of pure, unrelenting obsession that came before it. This wasn't just a casual treasure hunt. For many, it was a life's work that ended in bankruptcy, heartbreak, and in some tragic cases, their final moments.
There's been a constant history of people doing that. I mean, it seems like each person or group that gets involved and just doesn't give up until they either die or they go bankrupt.
The story of Oak Island is a story of human grit against impossible odds. It all started back in 1795. A teenager named Daniel McGinnis saw a strange circular depression in the ground. You might not realize it, but that single observation kicked off a mystery that would fascinate millions. He and his friends started digging. Just 10 feet down, they hit a layer of oak logs, then another at 20 feet, and another at 30. They knew this wasn't natural. Someone had built this. That hole became the legendary Money Pit. Over the next 200-plus years, the island became a magnet for dreamers and entrepreneurs. Dozens of companies were formed. The Onslow Company, the Truro Company, the Oak Island Association. They all came, they all dug, and they all failed. They were constantly and ingeniously beaten by the island's most famous defense, the flood tunnels. Time and time again, just as searchers thought they were close, a torrent of seawater would rush in, filling the pit in minutes. It was a man-made booby trap of incredible complexity. Later searches revealed a network of box drains or channels built from Smith's Cove designed to flood any attempt to reach the treasure. It was a brilliant and heartbreaking piece of engineering. The sheer scale of the efforts is mind-boggling. We're talking about massive steam-powered pumps, enormous cranes, and complicated cofferdams built to hold back the ocean itself. And then there's the human cost. 6 people have perished in the quest. It started in 1861 when a man was overcome by fumes from a pump engine. The most famous tragedy struck in 1965 when Robert Ristall, his son, and 2 other colleagues were lost in a tragic accident in one of the shafts.
I feel that the treasure is here and that we can get it, and we're going to stay here until we do.
This history gave rise to the infamous legend, a curse, that 7 people must meet their end before the island gives up its secrets. It's a somber backdrop to the recent victory and a reminder of the real dangers involved. The theories about what was down there were as wild as the search itself. What could be worth all this effort? Was it Captain Kidd's pirate booty? The lost crown jewels of France, smuggled out during the Revolution by Marie Antoinette? Or maybe Francis Bacon's original manuscripts, proving he was the one who really wrote Shakespeare's plays. But the most tantalizing theory of all, the one that seemed the most epic, was the lost treasure of the Knights Templar, including perhaps the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. Each new clue, like the coated 90-foot stone or the lead cross found seasons ago, only deepened the mystery. Every generation of searchers added their own chapter to the legend, passing the torch of obsession down through time, all leading to the moment the Lagina brothers took up the cause. For years, the Templar theory was a long shot. Now it's the main story. More questions than answers. So they found it, a vault full of gold, ancient scrolls, and a mysterious sword. But the real treasure isn't something you can put a price tag on. The bottom line is, the artifacts discovered in the sanctuary could fundamentally change what we think we know about world history. This isn't just a footnote. This could force us to rewrite entire chapters. Let's start with the biggest bombshell, the Knights Templar connection. For years, it was a fringe theory, but that sword, made of meteoric iron and bearing their unmistakable symbol, is hard evidence. The crazy part is this. The Templars were a powerful military order that was officially disbanded in the early 1300s. The legend has always been that they escaped with their immense treasure and sacred relics. If they brought it to Oak Island, it means they had the skill and resources to cross the Atlantic Ocean over 150 years before Columbus.
If we think about it, the Knights Templar were crushed in 1307. Now, Christopher Columbus arrives in the Americas in 1492, so we've got a big gap.
This suggests pre-Columbian voyages were not just rare Viking excursions, but organized, well-funded, and highly secret expeditions by one of the most powerful groups in Europe. And what about those Roman coins? That's a real head-scratcher. It throws a wrench into the entire timeline of discovery. Did ancient Romans somehow make it to the New World? Probably not. The more likely and even more interesting theory is that these coins were part of the Templar treasure hoard. The Templars operated all across Europe and the Middle East for centuries. They were, in effect, the world's first international bankers. These Roman coins were likely part in their vaults for centuries, collected from across the Old World before being hidden in the New World. It proves that items from classical antiquity were present in North America centuries before modern historians thought possible. You might not realize the significance, but this is like finding a modern car engine inside an Egyptian pyramid. It just shouldn't be there. And get this, remember that old controversial Roman sword supposedly found in Mahone Bay in the 1940s? This new discovery of Roman coins in a Templar vault suddenly makes that old find seem a lot more credible. So here's the deal. People are watching this wondering if this all just happened. Is it real? Are we missing a key detail? The thing is, skeptics and archaeologists are already raising red flags. But here's the catch. They are reminding everyone that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. They will demand to study the artifacts, to peer review the data. They will ask about provenance. Couldn't someone have dropped a few Roman coins down a hole in the 1960s? The pressure for a TV show to deliver a eureka moment is huge. The treasure is found, but the story is just beginning. What else are they hiding? Let us know your theory, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.